Emily, you're such a mess. Look at this house. No wonder Marcus is worried about the kids. Patricia's voice dripped with fake concern as she wandered through my living room, deliberately knocking over a stack of folded laundry I just finished. I took a deep breath, watching her performance through tired eyes. My name is Emily Parker. I'm 32, and my stepmom had just launched her latest attack in her campaign to prove I was an unfit mother. The irony wasn't lost on me. The house had been spotless before she dropped by to check on us, as she'd been doing increasingly often since my father's business trip to Europe. The laundry she'd scattered, freshly cleaned and folded. The juice she'd spilled accidentally on the kitchen counter. I just wiped it down. Patricia, is there something specific you need? I asked, keeping my voice level as I watched her open my kitchen cabinets, making disapproving noises at my well-stocked pantry. The kids will be home from school soon, and I need to start dinner. She turned, her perfectly manicured nails drumming against my countertop. Oh, I'm just concerned. Your father and I worry about Lily and Jake. Single motherhood must be so challenging. The pause was deliberate, loaded with judgment. What she really meant was that she'd never approved of me getting divorced from Marcus, her best friend's son. The fact that he cheated wasn't important to her. Maintaining her social connections was. In her mind, I should have quietly accepted his infidelity to keep up appearances. We're doing fine, I replied, starting to pick up the scattered laundry. The kids are happy, healthy, and… Are they? Patricia interrupted, pulling out her phone. Because I have some concerning photos here. Lily looking quite unkempt at school. Jake wearing the same shirt twice in 1 week. She scrolled through her camera roll, her red lips curved in a smirk. I almost laughed. Lily had been playing soccer during recess in those photos. Of course she looked messy. And Jake's same shirt. He had 5 identical Star Wars t-shirts because he loved the design so much. But I knew better than to argue. Patricia wasn't here for explanations. She was here to build a case, just like she'd been doing for months. The surprise visits, the constant photographs, the leading questions to my children about whether they were happy with mommy. What she didn't know was that I'd seen this coming. 3 months ago, when she'd first started her campaign of concern, I'd installed nanny cams throughout the house. Not just ordinary cameras. These were high-end, motion-activated with crystal-clear audio. The teddy bear on Lily's shelf, the vintage clock in the living room, even the innocent-looking succulent pot in the kitchen. All equipped to record every move, every word. I should check the children's rooms, Patricia announced, already heading upstairs. Just to make sure everything is appropriate. I followed her, watching as she entered Lily's room. My heart pounded as she approached the shelf where the teddy bear sat, its glass eyes concealing a tiny lens. She reached into her designer handbag, pulling out what looked like a small bag of pills. Oh my, she gasped dramatically. What's this under Lily's bed? She bent down, and I clearly saw her drop the bag before straightening up with it in her hand. Emily, are these prescription medications? Unsecured, in a child's room. The teddy bear watched silently, recording every moment of her theatrical performance. Those aren't mine, I said calmly, and they weren't there when I cleaned this morning. Patricia's eyes narrowed at my lack of panic. I'm calling Marcus right now. This is exactly what we've been worried about. Drugs in the house, within reach of the children. She pulled out her phone, perfectly French manicured nails flying over the keypad. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. Go ahead. My calm seemed to unsettle her slightly, but she rallied, already speaking into the phone. Marcus, you need to come over right away. I found something disturbing at Emily's house. Yes, evidence, just like we discussed. Just like we discussed. The words hung in the air, damning in their implication. The teddy bear's hidden camera captured every syllable, every gesture, every moment of her calculated setup. The children will be home soon, I reminded her as she ended the call. You might want to be gone before they arrive. Patricia's smile was triumphant as she headed downstairs, the bag of pills clutched in her hand like a trophy. Oh, I'll be gone. But don't worry, Emily. Child services will be very interested in what I found today. Sometimes, she paused at the front door, sometimes children are better off with their father, especially when their mother is clearly unstable. As the door closed behind her, I pulled out my phone and sent a quick text to my lawyer. It's done. She took the bait. Check the cameras. Sometimes the best defense is to let your enemy think they're winning. Patricia had no idea she just walked into a trap of my own making. The teddy bear had seen everything. And this was just the beginning. The next 48 hours unfolded exactly as I'd expected. Marcus arrived within minutes of Patricia's departure, his face twisted with manufactured concern. He demanded to search the house, conveniently looking in all the places where Patricia had already planted evidence. Empty wine bottles hidden behind the washing machine, suspicious bank statements showing large withdrawals, all forged, and even a burner phone with texts to an alleged drug dealer. What they didn't know was that my security cameras had caught Patricia sneaking into the back door the previous night, carefully placing each item. The vintage clock in my laundry room had a perfect view of her planting the bottles, while the camera in my home office captured her replacing my real bank statements with fake ones. "Emily, this is serious," Marcus declared, holding up the phone he'd discovered in my desk drawer. "We're taking this to court tomorrow. I've already filed for emergency custody." I maintained my composure, though inside I was shaking with anger. "Do what you need to do, Marcus." His confidence wavered slightly at my calmness. He'd expected tears, pleading, maybe even a breakdown that would further prove their point about my instability. Instead, he got cold detachment. The emergency custody hearing was set for 9 a.m. the next morning. I spent the night holding my children, assuring them everything would be okay. Lily, at 10, was old enough to sense something was wrong. Jake, only 7, just hugged me tighter than usual. "Mommy," Lily whispered as I tucked her in, "I saw Grandma Patricia putting things in your office yesterday. I was supposed to be napping, but I saw her through my door." I kissed her forehead. "I know, sweetheart. Don't worry. Sometimes adults do bad things, but the truth always comes out." The courtroom the next morning was tense. Patricia sat behind Marcus, her face a mask of concerned grandmotherly worry. She even brought tissues, dabbing at her eyes periodically for effect. Marcus's lawyer presented their evidence with flourish: the pills, the bottles, the phone, the bank statements, each item carefully selected to paint a picture of an unfit mother spiraling out of control. Then it was my lawyer's turn. "Your Honor," Sarah began, "before we proceed, I'd like to present some security footage from Miss Parker's home." She nodded to the bailiff, who wheeled in a TV screen. Patricia's face went pale. The footage was damning. Crystal clear images showed Patricia entering my house late at night, methodically placing evidence. The audio caught every self-satisfied mutter, every phone call to Marcus planning their strategy. The teddy bear's camera had the perfect angle of her planting the pills, while other cameras caught her replacing documents and hiding bottles. But the most damaging footage was from my kitchen camera the day before, capturing her entire conversation with Marcus. "Once we get custody," Patricia's voice rang clearly through the courtroom speakers, "we can sell her house. The property values in that neighborhood have skyrocketed. Marcus, you and Jessica can finally build that dream home you want." Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his seat as his new girlfriend's name was mentioned. The judge's expression darkened. "And the kids?" Marcus had asked in the video. "Oh, we'll send them to boarding school," Patricia replied dismissively. "That's what they need. Structure, discipline. Not this touchy-feely parenting Emily insists on." The footage continued, revealing their entire plot. How they planned to force me out of the neighborhood, sell my house, which I'd inherited from my mother, and ship my children off to boarding school. Also, Marcus and his girlfriend could build their perfect home. The judge's gavel came down hard, making Patricia jump. "This court takes a very dim view of manufactured evidence," he declared, his voice stern. "Mr. Thompson, not only is your emergency custody petition denied, but I'm ordering an investigation into potential criminal charges for false evidence and attempted fraud." Patricia stood up, her carefully maintained composure cracking. "But the pills, the drinking, the bank statements were all planted by you," my lawyer interrupted smoothly. "As the footage clearly shows, Your Honor, we have the original bank statements here, showing Miss Parker's actual financial situation, which is quite stable. We also have footage of Mrs. Thompson purchasing those exact pills from a pharmacy yesterday morning." The judge turned to Marcus. "Mr. Thompson, I suggest you and your stepmother leave now. The court will be contacting you both regarding potential criminal charges." As they fled the courtroom, Patricia's perfectly arranged world crumbling around her, I finally allowed myself to smile. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth, It's letting your enemies expose themselves. The aftermath of the custody hearing rippled through our community like a stone dropped in a still pond. Patricia's carefully cultivated image as the concerned grandmother crumbled overnight. Her country club friends, who'd been so quick to believe her stories about my unstable behavior, suddenly couldn't distance themselves fast enough. But the real changes came in unexpected ways. A week after the hearing, I was making breakfast when my father's car pulled into the driveway. He returned early from his business trip in Europe, looking older and more tired than I'd ever seen him. "I saw the footage," he said quietly, standing in my kitchen. "All of it, Emily. I had no idea Patricia was capable of this." I handed him a cup of coffee, noting the absence of his wedding ring. "Sit down, Dad." He slumped into a chair, running a hand through his graying hair. "She told me you were struggling, that she was just trying to help. I believed her because it was easier than admitting I'd made a mistake marrying her." The confession hung in the air between us. For years, my father had chosen Patricia's version of reality over mine. After my mother died, he'd been so desperate for companionship that he'd willingly blinded himself to Patricia's manipulation. "Where is she now?" I asked, though I already knew. The neighborhood gossip network was nothing if not efficient. "Gone. Cleared out our accounts and disappeared the day after the hearing." He laughed bitterly. "Turns out I'm not the first. She's done this before. Marrying wealthy men, trying to control their children's inheritance, moving on when things fall apart." I sat across from him, remembering all the times I tried to tell him something was wrong, all the times he dismissed my concerns. But looking at him now, I saw something I'd never expected: remorse. Meanwhile, Marcus was facing his own reckoning. His law firm, embarrassed by his involvement in the custody scheme, had placed him on indefinite leave. His girlfriend Jessica, realizing their dream home plans were imploding, quickly found another wealthy prospect. The last I heard, he'd moved back in with his mother, who was suddenly much less enthusiastic about family dinners with Patricia. But the most profound changes were with my children. Lily, who'd been watching everything with those observant eyes of hers, asked me a question that broke my heart and healed it at the same time. "Mom," she said one evening, curled up next to me on the couch, "is that why you put cameras everywhere? Because you knew they were bad people?" I pulled her closer. "I put the cameras up because sometimes grown-ups don't believe other grown-ups. But they usually believe what they see with their own eyes." Jake, building a Lego fortress nearby, looked up. "Like when Grandma Patricia said you were messy, but the cameras showed her messing up our house." "Exactly like that." I smiled. Sometimes the truth needs a little help being seen. 3 months after the hearing, our lives had found a new rhythm. My father, trying to make amends, set up trust funds for Lily and Jake, legally ironclad ones that neither Patricia nor anyone else could touch. He started coming over for Sunday dinners, slowly rebuilding his relationship with his grandchildren and with me. 1 year later, I sat in my garden, the one Patricia had always criticized as too wild and unkempt, watching my children play. My father was there too, teaching Jake how to build a birdhouse, while Lily practiced her soccer moves nearby. "You know," my father said, taking a break from his carpentry lesson, "your mother would be proud of how you handled everything. She always said you had a quiet strength about you." I thought about my mother, about the house she left me that Patricia and Marcus had tried to take, about the garden she'd started that I continued to grow. "I learned from the best," I replied. "The neighborhood has mostly forgotten about Patricia's dramatic exit, though sometimes I still catch whispers about the grandmother who tried to frame her stepdaughter. But those whispers don't bother me. My children are safe, my home is secure, and the truth, captured by a simple teddy bear, made sure justice was served." Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about standing your ground, protecting what matters, and letting the truth speak for itself. And sometimes that truth comes from the most unexpected places, like a teddy bear with glass eyes and a story to tell.